Hey everyone, so today we're going to be taking a look at this DIY Dashcam dual camera rig that I went ahead and put together so I can test out the quality of two different like action cams or dash cams. So what we have here is we have my original SJCam SJ4000 that my fiance bought me about a few years ago, and this new one called the Lightdow Action Cam. It's an LD4000 and it was on sale on Amazon, so I said, you know, let me just go and take a look at it, see how well it performs. It's not bad to have another one just in case. So the primary reason for creating this rig is so I can go and put these cameras side by side so I can see how well they perform against each other. They both come with these little holsters or cradles for the camera, and there's a 1/4-inch tripod mount on both the top and on the bottom. So what I want to do is I want to build something that will allow these two to connect to each other using these mounts. Now I wasn't sure really what to use for connecting them together for like the past few days. I was kind of like brainstorming. The easiest solution would be to put them together using some sort of a rigid material, either a piece of plastic or some wood, just something that's very firm. So what I did is I went into the garage today and I looked around, tried to see what I had available on hand, and I have this piece of, I think it's vinyl or PVC. It's like this edge trimming that you're able to purchase for when you build yourself a house and you want to, I guess, connect corners together and it kind of like hide the seam. This is what it's for, but I originally bought this to build my desk. It's the actual edging or the trimming on the edge of the table that I have here, and it goes all the way along the sides. This I bought two pieces for, I think they were each a few dollars. They were not that expensive at all from the hardware store. So I went ahead and I bought a couple of pieces. I built my desk, and these are the scraps that are left over. I have two pieces that are about 1 foot long each. I think I have some extra laying around in the back of the garage, but I gotta look for it. But I don't need that much material anyways. And this isn't anything that's gonna be exact. It's not gonna be exact measurements. It's not rocket science, nothing like that at all. So I'm just gonna go ahead and measure out a piece. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it out, drill some holes, and go from there. So this is what we have. Not too shabby. I went ahead and I drilled 3 holes, the 2 on the sides for the cameras and the one in the middle to mount to the actual mount that's on the windshield inside of my car. I did do some sanding on the edges and also through the holes because kind of like leaves like a bit of a rough edge when you use a saw. No big deal. And I want to use these machine screws that I bought from the hardware store. These are 1/4-inch 20 machine screws, stainless steel, I believe. The cool thing about these is that you can use a hex wrench to lock it in. Also, you can just use your fingers to kind of like tighten it up if you need to. Now, the only issue is that this screw is pretty long. I mean, I got to figure out a way for that to be mounted through the mounting piece and onto the cradle without having it move around too much. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab a 1/4-inch nut, and that's going to go ahead and shorten the length of the screw by about 1/4 inch. And I want to see if this works. Let's put it through and let's see how well it does. I still have about, I would say, 1/8 of an inch of length that I need to go ahead and shorten. So what I want to do is I'm probably going to get some washers and see how that works out. So I have a couple of washers that I'm going to go ahead and put in each one of these screws to see if that'll help out a bit. It's not too bad, but I can still feel the cradle turning, even though it's going in as far as it can into the mount inside of the cradle. What I'm thinking about doing is I'm going to go ahead and add an O-ring, a rubber O-ring, to help decrease the length by another 1/16 of an inch, and this should also help tighten it up a bit without having to worry about it getting loose and moving around. And at the same time, this may help with some vibration dampening, so I hope that works out. One thing I do want to mention real quick is that if you guys do want to work on your own DIY projects, one thing I recommend is to go to your local hardware store and picking up a couple of boxes of extra nuts, screws, bolts, O-rings, and they're not that expensive either. I mean, I picked up each of these boxes were anywhere from like $2 to $5. These were purchased from Harbor Freight. They're not that expensive and they come in real handy. So with the O-ring installed, it seems like it does want to work, and it is progressing along. I'm pretty happy so far with how it's turning out. It is pretty tight on there. It's not really moving that much at all. So I'm going to go ahead and put the other one on there and see how that works out. Overall, it's not too bad. I'm satisfied so far. It looks like it's going to be serving its purpose. It should work okay. So the only thing now is just to figure out how to mount this whole rig onto the mount on the windshield. On the windshield there is a male 1/4 inch 20 thread screw hanging from the mount, and here I just have an open hole in the in this bracket or rig. So I got to figure out how to go ahead and get this attached to the car. The first solution was to go ahead and put a bolt through the bottom, lock it in, and then from there try to figure out how to mount this onto the other male 1/4 inch 20 thread. That's going to be kind of impossible. Well, not impossible, but it's a bit challenging. I mean, this part was easy, but then trying to get this onto the mount, it's a bit more challenging. I was thinking about just putting a nut in between both male screws or bolts. The concern would be that the screw on each end wouldn't go too far into the nut, and with driving and the vibration it would come loose, and there's a risk of having the camera rig just drop and fall and your cameras may break. Because of that, I started digging through the actual box that the light dial camera came in, and it does include some additional accessories for mounting the camera to your to some straps, to your bike, to your hat, clips. There's these additional pieces that come with it, and the SJ cam also came with it as well. So I went in and I opened up the box for the light dial and tried to see what can I cannibalize out of these accessories. Now I was able to come up with these pieces here, and I think I might have an idea. It appears that the length of the screw isn't long enough, so it won't actually grab onto the other end. I swapped it up for a 1/4 inch nut and tried that, and that does seem to work. It seems like it's holding in place, tightening it, not a big issue at all. This may work. So this does appear like it might almost work, but I do see that I will not be able to fit the machine screw for the other camera because of the handle that tightens the mount, or this piece that you see in the center, that thing that I'm turning right now. It's because of that I will not be able to use it in this configuration. So I got to figure something out, but we're almost there. After about a few minutes in the garage, I came back in. I drilled another hole on the other side of the L-shaped bracket. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to call it now. It's like a bracket. Yeah, the L-shaped bracket. So I'm just going to go ahead and fit this through here. This should work. And I am going to remove one of the washers, and I'll see if the O-ring can provide that extra support from that missing washer. So I got one washer, one O-ring, one nut, and one machine screw for each of the cameras. Alright, I think we're done. This looks pretty good. I'm actually pretty surprised that it turned out so well. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I hope it works. I'm gonna go ahead and take it out for a test run and see how it performs. And what I want to do is upload another video with the actual review and comparisons, or comparison between the light dial and the SJ cam, and see how they compete with each other. But I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out. More information will be in the description. In the meantime, thanks for watching, take care, and have a great day.